this space, which is good, and we should disagree. Because I started out, it's always early for horse race politics, but at this point, it's always going to be early. Uh, I started out being like, I think, like you, I think she should take out Chuck Schumer, run for the Senate seat or leadership in the House. She's more useful there. She knows the terrain better. And that someone else, I was thinking at the time, Vanguard, echoing the Vanguard's opinion of the big boy from Illinois, J.B. Pritzker,
Right.
or,
Except he's the
kind of,
Zionist. It's turning out to be revealed that
yeah,
he's a
and
Zion.
also
He
his
might be a
cousins,
Zionist.
like in the Epstein files, the runner of the Hyatt hotels.
Right.
Like,
Right.
I'm already like, no. You're no good. And I've kind of come around on AOC and been like, I think she is ready because one, we have Donald Trump as the president, and he is not ready at all. He's a lunatic. He had no business being president, and I think her performance uh, in Munich was not for the consultant class, was not for New York Magazine wrote a thing that she's not ready and she's stumbling and blah blah blah. I've seen every clip on Fox News. It's just a montage of her saying and like a lot, which is honest. Like that is how we talk. That is how our generation talks. Not all of it, but most of it, and especially the younger generations, Gen Z, Alpha. I think at this point, she first of all, the fact that she put out a statement afterwards, being like, every article is talking about this is a step for me running for president, not taking into account what I actually said. And what she said was there is a global network of fascists who have been working towards one giant international fascist, cabal, and we need to fucking unite and stop them. And here are different strategies to do that. Different policies, economic, cultural, that all lead to people embracing fascism. And here's how we can fight against it. And I think it was honest. It was pretty good. I think it was pretty good. It was pretty good. I have some clips later that we can react to from that. But you
Well,
want?
since we're on the subject, why don't we just deal with this right now?
All right, let's do it.
Yeah, let's deal with AOC right now because I'm fine with talking about her. I think it's an important topic, and talent evaluation is really important.
Sure.
And I just let's see here.
And I think the thing that gets me with her is that again, I don't think she's not speaking to the consultant class, the elite class, the people who are media trained from the time they come out of
Yeah,
the
yeah,
womb.
yeah, yeah,
You
yeah,
know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah. But she's been in the public eye for what, 10 years now?
8.
8. Okay. I mean,
And
no.
none of these things are
Go
like
ahead. Let's see the clip, and then I'll show you how I would have answered the
okay.
question.
Okay, please. This is about market concentration and monopolies.
United States antitrust is such a foundational bedrock value, not just because the ascent of monopolies create the abuse of power in corporations and market power, but there is a level of market concentration and corporate consolidation where a massive company can get so big that its consolidated power can rival that of nation states. And democracies, we have elected leaders. And in massive corporations that then begin to consume the public sector, gobble up the spending, they start to call the shots. And we're starting to see this with some of the billionaire class throwing their weight around in domestic politics and in global politics as well. So it is of utmost urgent priority that we get our economic houses in order and deliver material gains for the working class, or else we will fall to a more isolated world governed by authoritarians that also do not deliver to working people.
Okay. So that
Okay.
was
Yep.
monopoly. Oh, hang on. There you go.
That was her on corporations becoming as powerful as countries,
Yeah.
even more powerful than countries.
Yeah. And I think a
So-
lot of this, the way it struck me was a lot of people just haven't heard talk like this. This is a big international stage for her to say things that we know, right? That we've heard before, but that a lot of people might hear for the first time and go, you know what? She's right. I haven't really. There's been some feeling that I've gotten, but I couldn't really put my finger on it, and now I can. And here's her talking about uh, the sheer numbers that we have in terms of people who agree with our policies.
But it is important to remember that there are more of us than them. And to your earlier question, when you said, what do you say to people who don't know what to do in this time? Every one of us can be sand in the gears of an injustice. And whether it is a delay, whether it is saying no, I think about how all the people in Minneapolis refused to let ICE officers use the bathroom in their establishments. I mean, it's a small thing, but it matters. It matters. It matters. Because to you as one individual, you are a person that's kind of closing your shop to someone like that. And it's, it may seem almost petty or personal or whatever. But when a whole community bands together and does that, first of all, it creates a culture, which is part of what the ascendant right is doing, right? It creates a culture. We create a culture of protection of one another, a culture of solidarity with one another. And it's rebellious. But more importantly, it is it does put a very real strain on them. They have to run around. They don't know what to do. Maybe they have to get their own facilities. And it starts to disorganize this apparatus that originally seemed very impenetrable. And that they could go around and do anything.
Again, this is echoing the themes of Andor to me, any little thing that you can do to impede their progress.
Right, but there's certain. Okay, so you'll notice though that she's speaking in generality. She's not speaking in specificity. The specific example she gave was that restaurants, bars, and club owners don't allow ICE to use their restrooms, which is like a little thing that can add up into a big difference if you unite. Okay, how do we unite? And this is, obviously I'm a big advocate of the DSA being the catalyst for change in the Democratic Party, but she needs to be as well. More important than all that, okay, in neither clip did she say anything along the lines of, this is war. We are in the middle of a civil conflict akin to civil rights or the Civil War. My country is hanging on by a thread, and we are about to experience huge generational change within the ranks of political leadership in our country. See, there's like a buckle up, Western civilization for a new America starting in 2026 and continuing in 2028. Because we're never going back. This is going to be a 40-year counteroffensive where we have generations of Americans growing up realizing that conservatism is fascism. Fascism is not a form of conservatism. Fascism is the end result. The eventuality of conservatism is fascism. Where's that?
That is, I think, again, she's not going as hard as you will go, for sure. For sure. But I think she's, again, saying out loud what no one has said in the last.
But she's not saying it she's not saying it with confidence, and she's not saying it with authority, because she's not as strong on international issues as she is on domestic issues.
What do you mean she's not saying it with authority?
She's not expressing herself with confidence. So let me give you the Taiwan question. Let me give you the answer she should have given to the Taiwan question.
What was the Taiwan question? Because I've seen
the Taiwan question was basically, what would you do if China invaded Taiwan? Okay.
What did she say?
Okay. So, gave some word salad. But the answer that she should have given us is, if the Democratic Party is allowed, or if voters come to realize that the Democratic Party can, should, and will be a vehicle for meaningful change within the United States, it will also be a vehicle for change without the United States, meaning externally. So the possibility of China invading Taiwan once we have a Democratic president and a Democratic Congress is far less than if we had a Republican president or a Republican Congress, because they are antagonistic and we are not. China is an important ally. We should treat them as an ally. Yeah, they do things differently. Yeah, they have a different culture, society, and country than we do. And we shouldn't pretend to understand it. We should just respect it. So the relationship to China would determine how we resolve that conflict. But one of my first foreign policy priorities for whoever becomes the next president should be to make the relationship between China and America a healthy one, and make it conditional on them not invading Taiwan. And by the way, they're not going to invade Taiwan. They would have done it already.
Well, I mean, why not?
Why wouldn't they?
I mean, they would have done it already. Fair. Like,
they're doing great.
I agree.
China's kicking ass. China's kicking ass. They're very risk-averse leaders in China, and they have everything's going well for them. Their investments in Africa are doing incredibly well, and because people are severing ties with the U.S. Right. Basically, China is becoming what, when I was a kid, was the Soviet Union. China is becoming that now. Okay. And rather than take that head on, let's figure out how to navigate the waters. Like, foreign policy is different. Foreign policy is navigating a very complex maze with a lot more there's a lot more variables to be considered within the context of foreign policy than there is within the context of domestic policy. Everybody can relate to domestic policy. It's the foreign policy that is really difficult. And that's why you have to, I would have loved to have seen some sort of almost self-promotion with some of these answers. And by the way, like, for all of you worried about the United States and our standing in the world, a new generation is coming. Like, circle it back to your message. Yeah, so these are media opportunities. See, that's one thing too. Like, when you're getting interviewed, this is one. Here we go. The Wasp is going to teach you something about the Wasp is going to teach you something about entitlement right now, because we can do it better than you. When you're being interviewed, if you're a political figure, when you're being interviewed, if they ask you a question that you don't think is fair, call them out. I'm not going to answer that until you phrase it in a fair way. That's not a fair question. Here's what you should be asking. Take control. Take control of the communication. They are on your time. You are not on their time. They are on your time. So act like it.
I think a good example of that, I always go back to the clip of, I can't remember who she was talking to, but when Olayemi Olurin was on the Hill, the first clip I saw of her actually go viral, it was like Robbie Suave or Emily Jasinski like framed a question to her, and she was just like, I reject the framing of that question.
Yes,
like, she didn't even say it, really.
Reject the
she
premise.
Was just like, I'm answering the actual issue here.
Yes.
And then he kept trying to bring it back, or she did, I forget, kept trying to bring it back to their framing, and she was just like, no. You asked me about the problem with prisons. Here's the problem with prisons. I'm not going into your trans, hate.
Right, and that's why, and so once you've made your point, and they continue to pepper you with the same questions, trying to trap you into that either or situation where you look like an asshole no matter what side you choose. You just say, you're being intellectually irresponsible with the way you're asking me these questions, so I have no respect for you or your news outlet, and by extent, and as a result of this, I'm never going to answer.
Entitlement. Yeah, you think that's going to go over well?
No, because it's going to turn heads. It's going to be provocative, and it's going to catch media fire.
If Gavin Newsom did that in an interview, of course, media would fucking bend over for him. They already are. But if she did that, it would be, oh my God, how this woman is getting hysterical. She must be on her period. She's not. She can't rule the world. Like,
and then double down.
That's why she's being a little more
Right,
in
and I
my
think that's
opinion.
because
why she's being a little more tepid.
that's
she's also
because
not announcing that she's running for president.
right. But don't you think that she's toning it down a little bit because she's being coached by the establishment on this stuff?
No, I think she's toning it down so that she doesn't get called a fucking communist and snatched up by whoever the fuck wants to snatch her up. I'm surprised that she goes anywhere. Honestly, I would be fucking terrified if I was in her
Yeah.
position. And every day the right wing is putting a target on my back.
Right.
Terrified. But I think she's fucking brave. I think she went out there again saying shit that needs to be said, because look, I started paying attention to the news in 2012. I was reading Breitbart and Daily Caller alongside Huffington Post and Vox and all these to get the different perspectives. And I saw on those right-wing fucking boards that they are ready and willing for a civil war. They've been itching for it. They want it. They can't wait for it. These are the people
Right.
who signed up to be ICE. They are incels. They are fucking losers. They're fucking Proud Boys or militia people or like preppers. They just have their chance now to legally beat up immigrants and white and women, and they're taking their shot. I think she is just explaining to the world, hey, by the way, this is what has happened. We need to fight against it. Nobody's been talking about this because it was Obama who didn't want to address it. It was Biden who didn't want to address it, who didn't want to put the blame on Republicans, because we need a strong Republican Party in this country because we're fucking feckless losers. And she's out there being like, by the way, if you didn't know this was happening, now you know. There is a global fascist cabal working internationally to bring fascism everywhere, and we have to unite and fight against it with policies that make it so that people don't want to join. If people are economically stable to an extent, they'll be less willing to go out and grab a gun and start hunting down immigrants, because they're like, well, I don't really care if there's immigrants here. They're not taking my job. I'm okay. But if everyone's out of work and then you have this fascist party pointing at immigrants all the time, that's just fuel for their fire that they're trying to build. I think she's out there trying to get a coalition together, the fucking super soak the fucking raging embers of hatred in this world.
Yeah, I mean, and to qualify my comments,
and she's in Berlin. Like, I get that she doesn't need to explain to these people in particular the dangers of rising anti-immigrant sentiment.
Right, xenophobia. I just want to qualify my comments as she might get there eventually, right? Like, this is a start, but it wasn't a good start.
And I was all fair. I'll say it's shaky in the way it looks. I'd say the substance of what she was saying, though, is spot on.
Yes, again, the sentiments, but that's what I'm saying. But that's what I'm saying is, like, the medium is the message, dude. Like, if you don't communicate your message in the right way, you might as well not be communicating it at all.
Yeah, but again,
and she has to own the room. This is why she needs coaching. She needs a personality coach. She needs both, actually. She needs policy on foreign policy coaching, but she also needs to, like, learn how to give me the I-95 like delineation here of the facts and give it to me like a machine gun, because that indicates to people that you know this shit like the back of your hand. And I love AOC, like, as a person, but sorry, dude, I don't think she comes across as well read. I really don't. Not yet.
Well read.
Yeah.
I think the ums and the uhs and the likes,
verbal pauses.
immediately just multiple generations of people are just like, you're not ready, you don't know what you're talking about. I came into this year, I came into the talk of the horse race thinking she's only been in Congress since 2018. She's going to jump from congresswoman to president. That's a pretty big leap. Don't you want some more time in there? But then I check myself and I'm like, well, that's just thinking about every other person who's run for president, who's in their fucking 60s, who has multiple career moves. And, like, you know what? Again, fuck it. Like, fuck it, we ball, dude. It's fascism. Like, who cares? I think she can win. I think she could win. I'm fucking crossing my fingers and knocking wood. but I think she could win, and I think she's the leader we fucking need. Honestly, like I knew that she is the leader that we need. I didn't know if she could win. I think the more it goes on, I think she could win, and I fucking hope she does run. And if she doesn't, I hope someone like her, someone of the same ilk.
So the name that comes to mind in terms of like if it's not AOC, who would it be? Is Ro Khanna. But then you have some cultural issues there too. But there's a guy and he just worked with Marjorie Taylor Greene on the Epstein Transparency Act. Like, but he's not a huge advocate for bipartisanship.
I wouldn't hate that. I think Ro Khanna's. It's funny you mentioned like the way she talks and like communicates. I feel like Ro Khanna's worse at that because he's so
gentle.
Used to he's very gentle. He doesn't like to make waves. He's non-confrontational. He's also worked in Silicon Valley, right? He represents Silicon Valley, so he's used to talking to these tech bros and this and that. Like, I don't, and I also don't trust him. Like, he'll do something good, like the Epstein thing, or like initiate the billionaire tax in California, but then he'll go right back and like be like, we should invite Elon Musk back to the Democratic Party. I'm like, what the fuck, dude? Like, pick a side.
I didn't know. Yeah, I didn't know about that.
He did this after like Elon and Trump had like the falling out initially. Like, maybe we should just like be nice to him, and he'll like. It's the same begging of billionaires that Chuck Schumer does. I don't want more of that, and I also don't trust where his donations would come from either.
It's a fair criticism. I just think in terms of skills, he's better than AOC.
In terms of better than Newsom, yeah, absolutely, I would go for him. But what is this? What is this clip that you sent me?
Okay,
this
so
goes into the consultants of it all.
Let's go ahead and bring it up. This is a woman who is part of the consulting class. Her name is Anat Shenker-Osario. And scroll it back to 41 minutes just so we get some context. Okay. I recommend that you all watch this episode of The Left Hook with Wahajat Ali. He's actually really great. He's tried and true progressive, and again, talk about being a little too nice. We're gonna watch this reaction, and then I'm gonna tell you what's wrong with it and why I think Anat Shenker-Osario epitomizes everything that is wrong with the progressive establishment that exists within the Democratic Party, people like Neera Tanden, and has actual influence and had influence in Kamala's campaign in 2024. Anat had influence in Kamala's campaign. Don't forget that as you watch this clip. Go ahead.
All right.
Your name in the ether, because for lots of people, it's kind of like, well, I don't really know what's going on, so this is who I'm going to pick. And so it does, as you noted, boil down to money a lot of the time. But this is where, and I keep coming back to this, like, I also don't want us to have a fetish around polls. If getting children out of concentration camps was polling at 2%, I would still be yelling and screaming that 100% is what we need to do. I don't care. And obviously that's not where it's polling. It's extraordinarily popular. It's even more popular than anything having to do with ICE. I also don't care where ICE is polling. And that's because it is our job to mobilize the people who understand what is right and correct and needs to occur, and to get them to persuade other people. Yeah. Because, as I said before, the majority of people are these good point people. When we do really comprehensive looks, and this is true not just within the United States, but in other countries where we work, it generally, more or less, depends on the issue, breaks down to 20, 60, 20.
Wrong.
20% of people are diehard left-wing. You can lecture me to the end of all time, lock me in a room, hostage with only Fox News playing. I'm never going to hate immigrants. There's nothing you can do that's going to make me hate immigrants. There's nothing you can do that's going to make me anti-union. There's nothing that you can do that's going to make me believe the flat tax is a good idea. I'm unpersuadable. I suspect you are unpersuadable in a similar way. Just as there are people like us, there are people like that on the right. They will never be moved. They won't be. And then the vast majority of people are these good point people. They are misnamed middle of the road moderate, but what they actually are is truly and deeply conflicted.
Wrong.
And
All right, so is this the end?
Yeah,
of
you can
the-
pause there. That's fine. Pause there. Bring it back to us. Maybe we'll go back. But okay. All right. So the breakdown is not 60-20-20. The breakdown is not 60-20-20.
She said there were 60% of people who agree
that
with
are
us.
conflicted.
Oh,
She
that are
said that
conflicted.
she said that 60% of the people are conflicted, 20% are hard right, 20% are hard left. Bullshit. Look at the election denial polls following the 2020 election. Now look at the approval polls in today's world. There is at least 1/3 of the voting public that is MAGA. It is not 60-20-20. It is 1/3 versus everybody else. It's really roughly 1/3, 1/3, 1/3, where you've got 1/3 is MAGA, 1/3 is in the middle or politically homeless, and then you got 1/3 as supporting the left no matter what. But she does not have the right proportions breaking down, and it's because she doesn't have good political instincts. She is a product of data. Now, data is useful if you know how to tell the story of the data, and you know how to actually build on it and embrace what the left has that the right doesn't, which is creativity. These people that she's talking about, these voters that she's trying to go after, they're not conflicted, they're confused, or they're very ignorant, or they're what I think you and I both like as a word to describe them, apathetic. Oh, both parties are trash, I'm not going to vote.
Yeah.
That's the problem. That's the problem. It's the people that don't vote. At no point, bring her back up real quick.
Yeah.
We're not going to play, but okay.
Nope.
So I just want everyone to know, okay? Anat Schenker Osario, and I want to get a meeting with her if anybody out there has a contact with her, because I need to have a serious discussion with her about how she formulates her advice, because I think her advice is garbage. There is no creativity, there's no artisanry, there's no balls. And by that I mean guts. By that I mean courage. By that I mean calling Trump trash, calling them white trash fascists. Like I've said on here before, WTF has a new meaning. She at no point does she mention the Democratic Socialists of America in this interview. At no point does she mention Democratic Party primaries in this interview. At no point does she mention demographic shifts according to age and how baby boomers are where MAGA actually lives. At no point does she mention neoliberalism. She has no advice about talking shit to the bullies because she doesn't know how to talk shit to the bullies. She mentions Israel and Palestine, not at all. Doesn't mention AIPAC. She doesn't talk about FDR and what used to be the New Deal Democratic Party. She doesn't mention at any point that this is war related to what we were talking about at AOC. You have to start these conversations about American politics today with this is war. We are at war. We either win and the country lives and hopefully heals and hopefully grows and evolves into something better, or we lose and the country goes to even a darker place. So, and just looking at Anat, okay, and listening to her talk, do you think that it is possible for someone like this, who, by the way, went to Berkeley, to actually comprehend the sociopathy of the American right? Do you think this woman knows the American right a tenth as well as I do?
No, I think what she's doing is, you're right. She's more data driven. She's thinking about this in terms of politics and the way it's always been and demographics and this and that. And we're past that. We're past that. We're at the point where people are calling the Gestapo on their neighbors to drag them to a concentration camp. Like we're it's past like I don't know suburban white people and blah blah and urban and black. Fuck that. I don't know what I think what she means by good point people is people who can be persuaded with a good point. That's my guess.
Yeah,
From the
so she actually
context.
defines her term earlier. She defines her terms earlier in the.
Okay.
So I'll define it for you. It's, oh, that's a good. They just constantly listening. They don't really ever have an opinion of their own. Like, oh, that's a good point from the left. Oh, that's a good point from the right. Oh, that's a good point. And never really taking a stand, never really taking a position. But there you
Joe
go again.
Rogans
You have to again. We're back to leaders. Like you have to have the leaders to convey the message. My issue with Anat Shenker Osario is that she thinks the message is all that matters. When I'm here to tell you, as proven by the I've Had It podcast popularity, the messenger is what will determine whether or not the message is successfully communicated. And that's why like I just, you know, she does a podcast on words to win by as opposed to like winners to win by, winners for politicians. Like it's just I respect her pedigree, I respect her intelligence, but she is not in touch with American pop culture in the way that I am or you are. And that is why she's not saying things like we are in the age of white trash fascism. A lot of this started back in the Clinton years. Yeah, that kind of thing. Going after the establishment. Why? Because the establishment feeds her. She's part of the establishment. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise.
I think. I think you're right to an extent. I think the I was on Leftist Mafia last Thursday, and I brought you up because we were talking about Hassan getting heat for saying he won't immediately endorse Gavin Newsom right now when he was talking to Jennifer Welch of I've Had It. And Matt Letterhack was on with me. Well, I was on with him, rather, on Leftist Mafia to promote this space. And he was voicing his frustration that all of a sudden people are like, "Oh my God, I guess we should listen to this white blonde woman from Oklahoma who's repeating a lot of the same shit that
we've been saying.
Sam Cedar's been saying for 20 fucking years."
Yeah, I saw that. I saw your appearance. Yeah,
it was great. And it is frustrating. I get it. For people like us who know this shit, who are just like, "Oh, you're just learning this now. Come on, you needed this person to tell you." But I brought up your point about, you need the right messenger. And the establishment media is not going to listen to AOC. They already barely have AOC on, other than Fox News, who likes to have her on as much as possible. Not on as a guest, but like talk about her as much as possible to scare their voters. If you vote for Joe Biden, you're really voting for AOC and her crazy communist New York woman politics, and just feeding off racism and bigotry. If you get Jennifer Welch out there on a podcast that I guess seems to be gaining speed over the last couple of years, talking about these same issues, they're going to invite her on CNN and try to convince her the other way. They're going to try to get her to concede on things. Matter of fact, this Hassan thing, also, they were like, people were passing around this clip being like, "Can you believe
I know. I saw
said this to her?"
And
she
fake
came out
with
a video going, "No, he's right. I changed my mind. Like, he's right. We shouldn't endorse this guy. He's also going to be more of the same. And we're going to have the worst version of Trump in 4 years after that." Like, she came out as the white woman host who people were kind of using that internalized misogyny and racism to be like, "Hassan, oh man, this scary Muslim buff guy is kind of disagreeing with the fragile white blonde lady about this issue."
But she's really tough. She took it.
She comes out and she's like, "Yeah, no, I was wrong. I've been. It's red state trauma. I go for the bluest I can because there is no one blue here. But you're right. I shouldn't just do that because then we get the same cycle over and over again." So I think you're right. She is not a good messenger. I also don't think AOC would be a good messenger for the kind of message that you have. I think I don't know, what do you call it? Subordinates, people who support her can have those fights and say those things. She cannot go to fucking Munich and go, we are at war in our own country. Because then here comes Donald Trump going, oh, you say we're at war, do you? Well, now, as soon as you land, you're fucking arrested. So is everybody that I don't like. And I have like an excuse now. Not that he needs much of an excuse, right? But I'm sure she's very careful with the words that she's saying. And yes, this looked like a first time international. It would look like her first time speaking to a broader international audience. I don't think it is, but I think it's the most publicized international moment that she's had,
Appearance, yeah.
especially leading up to 2028, and everyone's already talking about the presidency, regardless of if there's going to be midterms. You know what I mean? But I think
So I just want to I want to respond to what you, because those are all really great comments about both Anat and AOC. But the two things that they're not talking about enough is the Democratic Socialists of America and Democratic Party primaries. And actually that second one, Democratic Party primaries, that's the real vehicle for change. And that isn't being emphasized enough. And if I were to coach or comment or work with either Jennifer Welch or even Hassan, I think Hassan missed an opportunity to take that attention that he was getting from that comment and say, yeah, let's make sure Gavin Newsom isn't the nominee by showing up for Democratic Party primaries. You vote twice in even years, America. That's the message. You vote twice in even years. At no point in the Anat video does she talk about participation over persuasion. So, and that's like, persuade people to participate. Don't try to persuade people to get away from their investment portfolios, because it's not going to happen. Like the triple Trumpers.
I think that's the best distillation of the criticism. Keep encouraging people on, like Jake's show is called What You Can Do.
Right.
What you can do. You can primary the people that you don't like. You can vote. You can run yourself. You can help a candidate who you like petition to get out. Like I'm doing with Lindsey Boylan. Like, you can do stuff, and it's not just gloom and doom. I mean, AOC was even talking about like things that you can do, you know, in terms of being sand in the gears of fascism and whatnot. But that is also a call to action. Here's things that you can do that are outside of electoral politics, and not just, all right, wait for the next election and then we'll see if we get it.
But we're in that, like, what you can do. We're in the what you can do part of AOC's answer is the Democratic Party primaries. I mean, she's just like, where is that? We need a new Democratic Party. Look
again,
at the
I don't think
polls.
she's going.
But she's not going to do that.
She's
not going to do that.
She's going to let everyone else who are
that's not her style.
Her
it's not her style. It's not her prerogative. She wants to go along to get along, and that's just the kind of person she is. Very, very few people are going to advocate the kinds of politics that I suggest here.
It's the same thing as remember when Chi Osei was going to run against Hakeem Jeffries? Because I got to get Hakeem Jeffries. Remember when Chi Osei
the Gen
was
Z
going to run against Hakeem Jeffries?
Yeah, and then
DSA was voting on it, and
Zoran showed up.
Zoran was like, I don't think this is a good idea.
Right.
For sure, right? There's people disappointed. Oh, how could you do that? And whatever. He's playing a different game. He's playing a different game with bigger players. Y'all can still fucking run against him. You can still run this candidate. You can still organize against Jeffries and Schumer and Richie Torres and these fucks. But he's not going to do it himself. Like, I'm the leader of the party, or, you know, this faction. I'm not going to be seen trying to battle with the lords and kings over here. I'm just going to say, like, you know, I'm not going to say anything. But my people know where I stand on this shit. And they're going to fucking attack. And they're going to make their strategies. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I get what you mean, that she's get along to get along. But I don't think she's doing that. I think she's standing on her principles and not giving inches where it doesn't matter that much. That's what I think. I think, and
Okay.
I think Zoran is doing the same thing, and a lot of people.
Well, Zoran's definitely doing that.
I've seen some
Zoran definitely
criticisms,
did that with the
he's
Jeffries thing.
betraying us,
And we've talked about that before. I do not agree with Zoran influencing the New York DSA in that way.
Yeah,
I think he
That's
should
fair.
have. I think that's a difference between local and federal government, and he just not being a white privileged asshole. But I really think he should have kept his mouth shut. And
For sure.
he said
And maybe
the
he
DSA,
was-
the DSA is their own thing. They
Yeah.
supported me, and I'm grateful for their support. But they operate independently,
what they're gonna do.
and so
Yeah.
if they want to
That could
take
be an
on
answer.
Jeffries, and if they think Jeffries isn't living up, if the constituents of Jeffries district don't think that he is living up to their standards, then the DSA can do what they want related to that run. But
And
I'm
I
not going
said
to
this
get
during the
involved.
primary. I said this during or the election, the mayoral election, that I think it's purposeful that nowhere in his platform was anything targeted towards the NYPD, except for we're going to create a new department that is like outreach, and so they can handle mental health calls, and the cops
Right,
can go
social
back.
services, yeah.
Cops can go back to solving crimes, playing up cops' own inflated view of themselves like they are fucking SVU crime fighters and doing good jobs to get them to not be on his ass as much
Right.
during
that was the
election,
that was the play.
and to keep Tish as the commissioner.
Yes.
And I think I always thought the strategy was they'll fail on their own. They're the fucking NYPD. They're violent. They're crazy. They're gonna fucking have problems. And when those problems occur, I go, well, you know what? I thought the commissioner had a handle on it. I guess she doesn't. Maybe we'll have to replace it. Like, use their own inevitable bad decisions to then blame it on Adams and corruption and whatever, the administration before him, and then reform it after you've already gotten your policies that you ran on implemented. You know what I mean? Like, don't
Yeah.
start a fight with the cops before you're even mayor. Start a fight with the cops after you're mayor, after people like you as mayor and like the policies that you've implemented, can feel the change in their lives, and then you go, oh, the police just killed somebody. We're going to fucking prosecute that officer. We're going to go after the chain of command who allowed that to happen and allows this culture to keep happening. And maybe, there's an abuse in Rikers. We need to investigate that. Maybe we need to close Rikers. That kind of thing. Where, like, he already knows all this shit, but he's just not going to pick this fight before
Right.
he's in
gonna,
office.
Timing. Yeah. Timing is
And
everything.
timing. So with Jeffries, I wanted to transition to
Yeah,
this
let's do
clip
it.
from the same show. A couple days ago, Jeffries was on with Wahajit and Joy Reid, and he's asked a question about ICE.
Oh yeah. He won't say that
Law-abiding
he's for
immigrant
abolish ICE.
families now.
Yeah.
How can we stop the abuse that is taking place, the targeting of sensitive locations like schools and hospitals and houses of worship and, of course, polling sites now? And how can we stop ICE agents from behaving with violent impunity
But
now?
wouldn't it
And-
stop them if they just stopped being an agency? Just abolish ICE.
Yeah.
But I don't know what you're suggesting in terms of
Oh,
the
Jesus.
funding
Let the
fight that's in
funding
front of us now.
dry up and
What we're
never bring it
with the
back.
one big ugly, but what we're trying to achieve, for instance, I think the
I
most
hate the way he moves his fucking hands.
Yes. I know.
I hate the way he moves his hands. You're not Obama. You cannot do that. You're not even Bill Clinton, who started that shit. He's like consciously thinking about it. You know what I mean? Like, you could
Yes,
tell
he has
he's
been
thinking
coached.
about how his hands are moving in each moment.
'Cause it's a
when
distraction.
I say a certain word. It's so frustrating to watch. He's bad at it. He's bad at it. But yeah, this is him essentially getting angry about being asked that question. Well, what does it have to do with the fight that we're in right now? It's like, well, just don't fund the government, and then they can't have funding.
Well, it's also really popular. It's also good politics to be in
Right.
favor of abolishing ICE right now. So he's an idiot. He's
Apparently,
not a
I
smart
was
person.
wrong. That was not Wajid's show. That was Joy Reid's show, but Wajid was the guest host. This is Ayanna Presley on Joy Reid's show, having no problem with that question.
talk about ICE. We had Congressman Hakeem Jeffries on, leader Hakeem Jeffries, and he was very, very reluctant to even sort of consider the idea of proposing abolishing ICE. That seems to be something that the Democratic leadership is not comfortable with, even as a forward-leaning plan, that if you get back power, this agency will go away. Is that kind of the way that you see it inside the caucus as well?
Well, let me just say this. Let me say how I see the issue, period. I've been in Congress now since 2018. I ran on a platform to abolish ICE. We were, as pace-setting Black women often are, accused of being hysterical and hyperbolic extremists, radicals, and we were really just the canaries in the coal mine. I didn't need one more person to lose their life or have their human rights violated or their constitutional rights denied to know that ICE needs to be abolished. It's only been in existence since 2003.
I mean, these are the perfect answers for this. I ran on it. It's only been in existence for 20 years. This is not trying to get rid of the CIA or the FBI,
right?
Which also maybe should be talked about. But this is getting rid of an agency that was created after 9/11 to spy on Muslims.
Yes.
And as we're talking about ICE, I wanted to show you what I think you'll appreciate very much is people not tolerating white trash fascists in their communities. This is, I don't know where this is from exactly, but this is ICE agents being run out.
That's awesome.
Right? Just like you've been saying, they are not welcome in our communities. They're not welcome in our neighborhoods. Like AOC said, there are more of us than there are of them. And I know you saw this video.
Yeah, go ahead. Well, the other thing is, too, about this idea of using force to get them out of our communities and how people might be reluctant to do that because the left is where a lot of kind souls live. It's the only thing they understand.
Yeah.
Take it from someone who understands conservatives. They really don't understand anything other than fear. They are fear-driven people, and that's why it's not good enough to stop them once this is all over in 26 or 28, hopefully, if elections go well and the pendulum swings the way we all think it should, if historical patterns hold up. It's not going to be good enough to say, okay, back to sanity. It's like, no. We're never going to forget what you did to this country.
Yeah, you can't just take your Trump flag down.
No, you got to punish
Go to your neighbor. Hey, it's got
to be punishment. It's got to be what we've talked about on here before, the politics of social exclusion. Do not come to Boston, New York, Philly, Chicago, DC, Baltimore, hell, Miami, Atlanta. Don't come to these cities wearing that MAGA hat.
Yeah, you better not. Now, this is a clip that made the rounds on the weekend. I'm sure you've seen it, where there's an anti-ICE protest happening in a high school. The person filming is being an asshole. Hopefully, get off, like Ben Shapiro or Fox News, or start their media career as an aggrieved conservative high school kid. And he is confronted, let's say.
I support ICE. That's crazy, bro. I don't know what's crazy about this.
Yeah, I'm going to punch you.
You're going to punch me?
Yes.
And you're going to get in trouble for that.
Okay. It'll be worth it. It'll be worth it.
Now, he has been memed.
There you go.
He has been, this image, the and then the clap. I love the clap and the rear and back. You see this dude's hand go up because he's like, I didn't think he'd actually do it.
Right.
And then,
and that's the message too. I think for people, again, the biggest obstacle for the left adopting the politics that I want it to adopt is the soft, loving, kind-hearted people on the left that don't want to stoop to their level, so to speak. And my response to them is akin to what I just said earlier about using force, is that not only is it the only thing that conservatives understand, but it's the only option we have if we want to save America. And the line is, America's worth it. She's worth it. America is more important than the feelings of the ignorant, the uneducated, and the sociopathic, also known as Republicans.
My appeal would be more to your own selfishness and your own self-interest, and go, hey, do you want to end up as like a meme? Do you want to end up as on a t-shirt? Do you want to be like Luigi, where he's celebrated? Now, that's a little extreme, right? He's in prison and he's on trial and he's allegedly done these things. But this kid threw a punch. You can throw a punch. I'm not encouraging people to throw a punch. We're not violent here. But I'm saying, like, this motherfucker's being me. I'm seeing like the hope, Obama imagery where it just says okay on the bottom. I've seen t-shirts already. I'm sure this kid is one of the most popular kids now in his school. Self-interest. Do you want to be a fucking hero on the internet? And look, to a lot of people who don't see it, to the clavicular fans or the Sneeko fans who don't see any way out of this other than at least they can look better than everyone else. That's clavicular's whole thing. Black pill, like there's no getting out of this. The party is the same, apathetic, like you're saying. The only thing I can control is how I look physically, and I can do that. Well, you can also control how you're perceived. And if you're perceived as a hero, like I'm about to show these kids are, in this instance, a MAGA man, let me put this up on screen here. I just saw this today. A MAGA man jumps out of his truck to assault a teen girl at an anti-ICE protest. Now, y'all might be saying to yourselves, haven't we seen this clip a couple weeks ago? No, this is a new one with a new adult man attacking a teen girl. Do you see the theme here with ICE as well? Students who had been peacefully protesting started punching back at the man, saving the girl from a full-grown adult. This was in Nebraska. Let's take a look here.
Yeah.
Now we didn't get the But this motherfucker stopped the car. This motherfucker stopped his car because he saw a protest he didn't agree with, got out, thought he could punch someone, and then get back in his car and leave. That's the entitlement. We've seen, there was a clip even months before the one of the dude attacking a teen girl. There was one of a guy getting out of his truck on like the beach. I think it was in California. And it was also teen girls who were just like hanging out. And he was just yelling at them and disagreed with them. And they were like, started filming because they're like, who are you? What the fuck are you doing? He kept saying like, if you were a man, I'd punch you and blah, blah, blah. These are the people who ICE is recruiting, who Donald Trump is appealing to. The divorced dads, the misogynists, the lonely incels. And these are the people that need to be, checked.
Isolated.
You need to checked and in isolation. Because you cannot just run around screaming at teenagers, dude. Like, what the fuck?
Did I tell you about my app idea?
No, what is your app idea?
So my app idea is like a blacklist app where you can sign up for this app, right? And you take a picture of whoever you're with, or you search their name, and the app will tell you whether or not they're MAGA. And then if you're a restaurant, business owner, or club or whatever in a major metro area, then you can have that and be like, oh, reservation for 4 o'clock at 7 p.m., whatever, for 4 people at 7 p.m. Let me just check to make sure you're not MAGA. Oh, sorry, we don't serve your kind here. So, like, that would be enacting the social politics of social exclusion, which, I mean, it's someone like Sagar would have a huge issue with that because it's like he thinks it's dangerous. But I'm of the opinion that there's just nothing to be gained from having a conservative voice in the room of decision makers. There's just nothing good that comes from it. And so that's in line with what I was saying earlier about how it's not enough to just stop MAGA. We need to punish it so that it doesn't live into future generations.
Word.
Because this is a 40-year war. It's going to
Yeah.
take us 40 years to recover from this.
And I think, going back to the polling piece that you were talking
Yeah.
about, this was a poll in the New York Times.
Oh, I saw.
And,
yeah, this is good.
We're talking a little bit more about the Democratic Party. If you had to use one or two words to describe the Democratic Party, what would you pick? Spineless, more complacent than I thought they would be, paralyzed, afraid, incompetent, I guess suffocated or given up. Our
Yeah,
local
friend of
government's
mine
trying
sent
to
me
do a
this one.
lot. Sold out. I just feel like we're never being governed. We're being looted. What other words would people describe to use the Democrats? Sellouts and suckers, immobilized. Can I say no balls? No cojones. I will say that there are a large number of young Democrats that are really starting to climb the ranks in the party, that are motivated. I'm hoping that word starts to take over a little bit more. These are the people that they polled. A candidate who identifies as progressive or a candidate who identifies as moderate. They all picked progressive. And this is what? 1, 2, 3, 7. 7 plus 6 is 11 people? No.
7 plus 6 is 13.
13. My bad. 13. Small sample size, but all different ages, races, and none of them chose moderate.
Right.
They don't want moderate. They don't
Right, because
want
moderates got
a
us here.
Party. Right. They don't want a strong Republican Party, a healthy debate in this country. They want domination of the enemy. Has anybody seen anything from a Democrat, any candidate or public figure or someone locally that's made you say, oh, yeah, we need more of this? Is this what we should be doing more of? Zohran Mamdani. Clear, concise messaging. It's exactly what everyone wants. It helps everybody. It's the perfect messaging because it's clear and concise, unlike Democrats. Just like Bernie. Bernie has the same thing since the 80s. You've got to tax the billionaires. You got to tax the upper class. He's never changed. That's the messaging. You just got to drill it into him. And Zohran did it. Man, it's beautiful. Mike said it pretty clearly. I can't think of anything to say to that. I love that. Like, yes. And
So this was a results of a focus group that somebody did.
A focus group at the New York Times. That is making the rounds today. I'm sure is making all the right people shaking their fucking little booties. Just like that, the woman who you brought up. What's her name? Let's remind the folks.
Anat Shenker Osario.
Anat
Osario.
Shenker Osario. The Neera Tandons of the world. It's not your game anymore. It's not your party anymore.
Right.
We're taking it over whether you want it to happen or not. It's happening because you fucking suck. And you haven't been doing anything materially for the voters for what, 40, 50 years? They just haven't started noticing till now, till our generation. It's our turn to have a life. It's our turn to buy homes, to have kids, to have families, to have jobs that pay us a living fucking wage. And we're here going, where the fuck are they? And Gen Z and Alpha are behind us going, it doesn't look good for them. We better make changes now. Who's out here right now talking about making change? You got Zohran Mamdani, you got Count Abu Ghazala, you got Graham Plattner, you got Abdul El Sayed in Michigan. It's changing. The landscape is changing.
It's changing
for the better.
It's changing. It's slowly but surely changing. And I think
it's
the
faster.
overall, the macro message in terms of like how we last 40 years, how do we make 40 years happen, is millennials getting Gen Zers to look at us like they're loving, caring, more informed, more experienced siblings, right? I've done an appearance on the Gen Z podcast, which is based in LA, and I'm going to do another one this year as well. I'm going to debate a conservative. And these guys are very informed. They know that Israel is committing genocide. Yeah. And they know that Bill Clinton screwed everything up with NAFTA and the crime bill and telecom and
I thought we were just going to stop at screwed everything, because seemingly he did.
Yeah, he did. He took the he took the party of FDR and turned it into the party of Bill Clinton. But again, Epstein. Like the vehicle for change, I cannot emphasize this enough. If for all of the content creators watching this, just get the message out there. You vote twice in even years in America, and we need to take in line. The only adjustment to what you just said that I would make would be like, who is the enemy? Who are we taking power from? And the answer is the baby boomers. Duh. And they're hanging on to power with a death grip. And it's Latino Affinity chiming right on time. Yes. So millennials and Gen Zers, the big pitch is, do you want to be the greatest generations America has seen since the greatest generation? Because the silent generation and the baby boomers, and to a lesser extent the Gen Xers, like Ken Martin, like Anat Shenker-Osario, they're not doing it.
No, they're just following the
it.
lead of the boomers. They're just trying to replicate what they did.
They're not disruptive enough.
No.
They're not
Because
disruptive.
they're getting fed, like you're saying. They're getting fed by that same machine, that same establishment. They found their nooks and crannies to make a life in, and they took up the last nooks and crannies.
Right.
They took up the last nooks and crannies. We have to smash it all, and make a new system.
That's right,
folks. Thank you so much for watching this space. You should share. You should like. You should subscribe. You should tell your friends that there is a 4-day-a-week, almost nonstop leftist news network on YouTube that you can tune into whenever you feel like it. And I will leave you with one thing before you give your sign off, Deter.
Sure.
Candace Owens trying to say the word anecdote. It's my favorite new Twitter thing. I can't stop.
And so I'll give you an analogy, or actually an anecdote, not even an anecdote, a reality.
Anecdote. Anecdote.
You fucking uneducated dumbass.
Maybe she was thinking about Charlie too much and couldn't get the word neck out of her head.
And so I'll give you an analogy, or actually an anecdote, not even an anecdote, a reality.
That's my favorite, because you can tell she's been saying it like this forever. Anyways, Deter, take it away.
Yeah, thank you guys for listening. Please like, share, and subscribe. Check out my channel. I'm going to be having a DSA member come on to Left Coast Live, which is at 6:30 p.m. Pacific on Tuesday nights. DSA is going to be represented both next week on Tuesday and then the Tuesday after that. And then I'm going to be working with What Can You Do from here on the 17th of March to talk about a fresh take on neoliberalism from a high school classmate of mine who wrote a book called Strong Floor, No Ceiling. And who loves it? You guessed it, Hakeem Jeffries. So until then, and until next week, please don't forget that you don't get change in America by asking nicely.
Take care, folks.